Today I'm sharing how to make stiff and creamy, perfect French buttercream step by step. Let's get started. Alright, so let's start from separating eggs. French buttercream, aka pot à bombe buttercream, is made by combining butter and pot à bombe. And pot à bombe is made by combining whipped egg yolks and hot sugar syrup. And that's what we're gonna make from now. So start by whipping egg yolks at very high speed. And meanwhile, add water and sugar in a small saucepan. Ensure that all the sugar is wet to prevent it from getting crystallized while heating the syrup. And wash off any sugar attached to the side for the same reason. Start heating it at medium heat. To prevent the sugar from getting crystallized, do not shake the pot a lot or mix the syrup while heating it. Just leave it there and also wash off the side with water once or twice. Oftentimes for pot à bombe, the sugar syrup is heated to 240 Fahrenheit, but today I like to heat it to 244. By increasing the temperature a little bit, the pot à bombe gets a little bit thicker, and I definitely prefer stiffer French buttercream to pipe and frost. Swirl the pot to make the temperature even to get the accurate temperature. And pay close attention to the syrup, especially toward the end, because the temperature goes up pretty quickly. I like to turn down the heat toward the end so that I'm not gonna miss the temperature. And once it's done, immediately add that to the whipped egg yolks because the syrup gets a lot thicker as it cools down. The whipped egg yolks should look very fluffy and pale like this. You definitely need a high speed to achieve the volume. And slowly add the syrup from the side of the bowl like this as you continue whipping the egg yolks at high speed. Whipping it at high speed is very important for the whisk to pick up the syrup evenly. Do not drop the hot syrup like on top of a whisk because it can scatter everywhere, or do not add it too quickly because it can sink to the bottom. In the end, flip the pot upside down to add all the syrup left in the pot. Touch the bowl and check. Continue whipping it at high speed while it's hot or very warm. And turn it down to medium-low speed once it cools down to gently warm. And you can stop whipping it when it cools down to room temperature. And it's gonna look like this in the end. The pale, yellowish, creamy goodness. Now, as a final step, add butter to it. It is very important to use soft butter left at room temperature to create smooth and fluffy buttercream. So do not use partially melted or farmer butter. And also ensure that the pot à bombe is not warm at this point, because if it is, the butter is going to melt, which leads to loose buttercream. Add salt and whip. I like to whip a lot here, usually about 5 to 10 minutes at medium speed until it gets really fluffy, because I prefer the lighter, more airy texture. To finish off the buttercream, don't forget to scrape off the bottom and the sides of the bowl to pick up any butter that might left over there. And mix again. And that's it. It is complete. Now I wanted to show you a second way to finish off this buttercream. You can also whip the butter in a separate bowl and combine it with the pot à bombe after that. The pro of this method is that you can start whipping the butter while you are whipping the pot à bombe, which saves some time. And also, in case the butter was not soft enough, you'll quickly realize that by mixing it. But the cons of this method is that you're just gonna end up with a little bit more tools to wash. I used to do this way before, but lately I do the first way because I simply don't want to wash more dishes. You can pick whichever you like. Use this rich, creamy, and airy French buttercream to complete any desserts you like, such as macarons, cupcakes, and cakes. To color the buttercream, I recommend using gel or paste coloring instead of liquid coloring to avoid it from getting too loose. And one batch of the recipe is enough to frost one 8-inch round cake with simple decorations. To store the buttercream, put it in a tight container, or sometimes I like to wrap it, and after I thaw it, I cut the edge, insert in a pastry bag, and start piping right away. You can store it in the fridge or freezer. Any buttercream gets hardened when it's chilled, so make sure to leave it at room temperature for some hours before use to soften it again. So each type of buttercream has pros and cons, and one of the cons about French buttercream is that it is a little bit yellowish, and this can be a con if you're looking for white color for your cake. To resolve the issue, you can whip the buttercream a lot to make it more pale, or add a little bit of purple colorings to make it more white, or you can use other types of buttercream such as Swiss buttercream and Italian buttercream. And this recipe makes pretty stiff French buttercream, but compared to my Swiss buttercream or Italian buttercream recipe, it is still like slightly softer. So if you are looking for buttercream to pipe detailed flowers or something with fine details, try Swiss buttercream, which is one of the most stable and stiff frosting. And the biggest plus of this buttercream is that it is so rich. I like to use it for some desserts and cakes, and this is a great buttercream to use up all the leftover egg yolks. Whenever I make macarons, I tend to use this frosting, and it is not overly sweet, so creamy and smooth. I shared how to make French buttercream a while ago on YouTube. Since then, I changed the recipe a little bit, and I also made the steps a little bit more simple. So even if this is your first time making French buttercream, I think you'll find it not too complicated and easy to follow. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy pastry living, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.